Everything that can be used as a tool of propaganda generally is used as a tool of propaganda, but we're still quite unable to figure out what propaganda is, how it looks, or how to avoid it. We often find ourselves asking if it's possible at all to avoid propaganda or if it's just as much a fact of our lives as air and water. In the current climate of outrage news, networks that seek to maximize engagement than report the truth, and governments that prefer to distort and misrepresent the past rather than risk their standing in the eyes of the people by being honest about their mistakes and shortcomings, it's easy to feel hopeless about figuring out the truth at all. The most common definition of propaganda is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. But this definition hardly fits in anywhere useful today. In fact, in the current times, the work of propaganda is to distort the lines between reality and unreality and to make truth indistinguishable from noise and falsehood. In this usage, the theories that are most outlandish and impossible survive simply because we believe that everything that exists must be considered and that all truths are possible. It's this consideration, this elevation of the most innate theories to things that can reasonably be debated on primetime TV, that make propaganda so widespread. We are currently witnessing the slow erosion of democracy all over the world. It's clear that the systems we've built to protect us are no longer on our sides, and that as the information space turns on us, we're on our own when it comes to figuring out the lines between truth and falsehood. The media has failed us. Our governments are not on our side. They won't tell us what is true and what isn't. We can't trust them to make that division for us because our medias are owned by corporations with their own goals, usually the acquisition of even more money, and we can't trust them to tell us the truth because they've got real money in making sure we never learn. The government is mostly the same case. Corporations donate to politicians who will support their interests, and money in politics is a surefire way to lead to corruption and the erosion of the rights of the people. We think of propaganda as a thing of explicitly fascist governments, 1984 style, and committed to burning books, imprisoning artists, and ruining the livelihoods of activists. But in the digital age, propaganda can be subtler. At its most subtle, propaganda functions within the minds of people. It starts by artists never putting their ideas to paper, by activists who never manage to hit the streets before they've shut down their own causes. It starts with writers who don't speak the language of their people, unable to reach them from behind the barriers of linguistic colonialism, classism, and racism. The propaganda that happens from within is much harder to counter. We can't force people to write, we can't force activism and art. All we can do is create space for it to flourish and grow on its own, to nourish it with freedom, and to protect and safeguard that freedom, to ensure that every voice has room to speak and the assurance that we are listening. This is the promise of democracy and its greatest flaw. For anything that can be so, for anything can be sold in the marketplace of ideas when we say to our people that they are welcome to speak their minds. We will invite speech that is both toxic and infectious. We will invite the growth of ideas that should not be spoken, not because the freedom of speech is not important, but because ideas and rhetorics that challenge the very basic humanity of people are simply not worth considering. We should never find ourselves asking whether a group of people truly qualifies for personhood. We should we should never find ourselves asking how much is okay to take away, whether women or poor people or people of color truly deserve the rights they have and the gains they've made. These are not questions for the marketplace of ideas, they are trash masquerading as legitimate positions. We do ourselves a great disservice when we buy into this lie, when we give ideological room to people who wish to remove others from the sphere of public influence, to delegitimize people who have done no wrong but exist. The old Orwellian view of propaganda that it's something imposed by the government upon the people, the model that puts the authority and power at the top and represents the people as helpless consumers, no longer applies in an age when everyone is free to choose the sources of their information. But it's this freedom that cripples us. We find that when allowed to seek out the sources from which they consume the news that informs the way they interact with the world, people overwhelmingly seek out information that confirms the biases they already have. This is dangerous because some of our biases are not worth serious consideration. That doesn't mean they don't get used to push political ideas that are destructive to human rights and democracy. We are, in fact, oversaturated with sources. There's no escape from the noise of articles, news, images, tweets, and links that the internet brings to our doorsteps. This oversaturation is a deliberate ploy of the new age of propaganda. We, when we are oversaturated with conflicting truths, we turn to the ones we're familiar with. When truth conflicts with our established worldviews and facts are indistinguishable from fiction, what is real becomes a question of which side we're on. It's no longer about right or wrong or truth and falsehood. It's become about which biases we're inclined towards and which tribe we belong to. This tribalism colors our political discourse the world over and makes our society regress from truth seeking to tribe seeking. We only want what we already have. We treat change and progress as dangerous. The promise of democracy, which is the promise to do and live as we wish, devolves into the hell of fascism, which preys on the fears of the waning majority and destroys us from the foundations up. It's built into our systems, it happens every few years. There's no visible escape from this cycle. At most, we can be aware of it. To recognize when we are being preyed upon by tyrants and demagogues, to cultivate empathy and compassion for the least of us and the most deplorable of us. Consuming our media with criticism and care, fighting back against injustice where we see it, making clear that we won't stand being lied to. This is what democracy needs of us. This is what we must do.